Good morning, Nigeria. Welcome to another refreshing edition of Daybreak Live right here on Dominion Television. It's a beautiful Wednesday morning, October 22nd, 2025. I'm Oluwayemi Adelakun. It's always a delight to be with you as we rise together to the stories shaping our nation and the world.
And I'm Anulu Akpo. As always, we are here to inform, inspire, and ignite meaningful conversations that matter to you, our viewers at home, at work or on the go. You've made the right choice by starting your morning with us, a perfect starter.
Definitely. Here's what's ahead on today's edition of Daybreak Live. First, on Daybreak Gist, we'll be diving into some uplifting economic news. President Bola Tinubu has approved a 250,000 naira grant for outstanding MSMEs across Nigeria, a welcome relief for small business owners driving the nation's economic engine. But what does this mean for youth innovation, business sustainability, and job creation in the long run? We'll be unpacking that shortly.
Absolutely. Then we'll bring you the weather update and your Daybreak news, a quick roundup of the stories making headlines across Nigeria and around the globe.
Definitely. And after that comes the newspaper review and analysis, where we break down the headlines and explore the deeper narratives behind the day's top stories. And for today's big story,
yeah, our focus shifts to a pressing national concern, the future at risk, poverty, population, and the path to national collapse or renewal. Nigeria's population continues to surge while poverty deepens. The big question now is, are we preparing for renewal or sleepwalking into collapse?
That's profound. To help us dissect these, we'll be joined by Dr. Kunle Okola, a respected public affairs analyst, good governance advocate, and security expert. He will help us understand what the current trends mean for Nigeria's stability and future prosperity.
And that's one conversation you definitely don't want to miss today.
We'll wrap things up with Trend Watch, your spotlight on what's buzzing across social media and the streets of Nigeria.
So, wherever you are, stay with us. This is your trusted morning companion for news, insight, and perspective.
You're watching Daybreak Live on Dominion Television. Let's get right into it.
Shall we? Let's say good morning to
the
you.
way you are doing your fingers this morning, surprising. I like that.
You don't like my fingers?
I do, but then
You have
the
a
way
problem with my fingers?
No, at all.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
I'm very well.
Yeah, I think you're one of the people getting the 250,000. Should we start from there?
It's a good one. I think 250,000, right? Not such a big money, but it will do a lot in this economy.
All right, so let me start with some key statistics according to the NBS, National Bureau of Statistics. Of course, you know, the first I would like to say is that about 39.65 million MSMEs operate currently in Nigeria, accounting for about 96.7% of businesses, which speaks to the expediency of this kind of move, which speaks to the importance of that particular sector, the MSME, for the country, Nigeria. Again, the contribution to the GDP is about, MSME contribute about 46.31% to Nigeria's gross domestic product, GDP. And of course, employment as well. MSMEs employ over 80% of the country's workforce. So you see how important this is, right? Ownership now, 40% of MSMEs are owned by women, which is of course another thing we should talk about. An annual revenue that is being generated by MSME, accounts to about 2.3 million naira. Now there are a lot of challenges, challenges that I'm going to talk about in a brief now. So all of this, statistics has given us an intel into what's and how important that sector is. But now, there are some challenges facing us. Now, I'd like to say that, there are different ways of seeing things. You can see things by perceiving. You can see things by feeling. Now, there's something called felt needs and perceived needs. If I come to you and I see you today and I see that your face is dry and I say, okay, Yemi is lacking water. I've only perceived that. I've not felt it. It's until I stay with you for a couple of days and say, okay, so this is why. It's not because you don't drink water. It's not because of this. It's because of that. So I can now link it to something. And that's like a felt needs because it goes beyond the perception. Now, sometimes this kind of measures that the federal government is putting is only perceived. It's not felt. Why do I say so? Now, here's why. If you consider, if I want to help a person with a vehicle, and I give you, for example, I give you a battery to start your vehicle, and I don't give you a fuel. I'm saying if I don't give you petrol, for example, your vehicle might only start but would not run. You get your engine will start with the battery will give power to your engine, but your vehicle would not run. Even if it does, it won't run so far. This is what I'm saying. There are things that are called complementary items. If you get this, you should get the other, because the other complements it for it to work. I'm saying if we give grant 250,000 to MSMEs, it's a good development. It's a good way to start, but don't stop there. We need to also put some things in place, some structures. For example, power. If you see one of the major 5 problems of MSMEs in the country, Nigeria, power is also on the top list. You know, aside from grants, the next thing is power supply. If I can imagine how many businesses have started and ended abruptly just in 1 year, 2 years, and the problem has been power. If there's no power, if you give whatever money, capital resources or whatever resources you give to them, they will still break, they will still fall, they will still not continue. Because it is very important that they have power to also sustain and continue the business. So I'm saying that I try to check out for the problems of MSMEs in the country, and of course, limited access to finance, which is what the federal government is trying to tackle. But again, the second problem on the top list is also power supply. We need to start working on power. Sometimes I wonder, instead of taking all this money into maybe just to give out to people, because that also calls for concern. Who are the people that are going to get this money? How do you intend to get those people that you call outstanding MSMEs? Is there a database for that? That's another question. But I'm saying that if you give money to them, give them power supply. Don't just start their engine. Let them run for you for a long time.
I think you're very spot on, and let's start from this. Tinubu approves 250,000 naira grant for outstanding MSMEs. That was in Castina a few days ago, I think yesterday. Yeah. So it is embedded in the Constitution. Giving out grants to small businesses is a constitutional duty. And of course, we have that in the 1999 Constitution as amended severally. And then I applaud the federal government through the president, trying to give out that loan, because this is not the first time, and it's non-repayable. You are not supposed to pay back. But then let's start from this. I read tweet online. I love to surf the internet to get to know the pulse of the people. And a lot of persons are saying, okay, this money is good, but then it's too small. They are complaining that this 250,000 naira cannot do so much, for the small business owners. But I beg to differ. Yes, the economy is dangling, right? But then if you get 250,000 naira, someone will just press it into your account like that. I think there's something you can still do with it. But then let's talk about all over persons involved in this, like the state governors. What are they doing to support this initiative by the federal government? Reno Omokri posted something a while, and I read it yesterday. He said, it is a good initiative from the federal government. But then, if the state governors are not doing anything, it becomes difficult for this to work properly. Because if the federal government is already trying to give out 250,000 naira to these people, what are the state governors doing to balance this? But then, I think some governors are already doing it. Because I read a tweet also talking about similar with Barra. He initiated something similar in 2023, and then he started out by giving out money to all the small business owners. And I think he's been doing that consistently. This is what we are talking about. Other state governors should begin to adopt this. Do you know that there are some NGOs, I've seen it happen severally, that they give out grants to people and you don't need to pay back. They just want to empower you as a person. So it depends on you. One more thing, something happened in Calabar last month, September. This same MSME clinic happened, and then about 250,000, I think 150,000 was given out to these people. And then it happened that some persons came out to complain bitterly that the money the federal government promised them after the exhibition, most of them are yet to get paid. They now complain that some got paid, but then some are still complaining about not receiving the money. Now, this is my problem. Sometimes when the federal government or when an institution wants to make things better, it's not just about the leader. It's not about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu alone. What about the people associated with, distributing this money? Because when I read the story, a lot of them complained that even they were not told that those that will receive the money will be choosing. They gave them the mentality of, okay, just come, bring your stuff, and then at the end of the day, you get to 50,000 naira. But at the end of the day, these people were selected. Talk about poor communication. Why would you? A lot of them said they had to go and borrow money, to bring all their stuff on ground. They had to display, and at the end of the day, a lot of them said they spent above 150,000 naira, and they are still not, received the payment. So if you want to do something like this, the federal government is doing a lot, but then people, who are responsible for making this work, we need to do better, as a nation. If the federal government is putting out all of those things, if you want to inform these people, tell them what is obtainable. Okay, 50 persons will be selected. It depends on your craft now. Don't give them the mentality, all of you will receive the money. These are the issues. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about people who undo all of these things, and also the state governors as well. I don't think 250,000 is bad. Maybe that's what the federal government can afford. What if the federal government is not willing to even give out the 250,000? What will you do? I'm not talking about you. I'm just talking about people that are complaining.
I own business. I own businesses, should I say?
Okay,
but again,
that's a good one.
What you've said is quite, spot to think about. What should every other facet of government do? Not just the presidential. If the presidential or the presidency is coming out to say, this is what we're doing, what is the state government trying to do also to help or galvanize that particular move to say, okay, so let's support this. We are also ensuring that this happens. Like you also mentioned, one of the problems we've also seen is that how do they know the outstanding MSMEs? That's where the problem is, because you get to discover in Nigeria, they promise a particular amount of money to some people. They say it's the poorest of the poor. And we have poor people around some places. We ask them questions. They don't get this money. Who gets the money? That's one. But like you also mentioned too, I wanted to harp on a particular material I got online to also see what are the problems facing the MSME. Because obviously, if it's something we should invest in, then we should also look out for how the investment can be sustainable. Not just do an investment and just leave it. 50,000 is not bad, like you said. No grant is free. I mean, no grant is bad. If you say, if no free money is bad, if I give you even 10,000 naira, you should look for something.
Even 50,000 naira.
Whatever I give you, you should try to make the best of it. Like that's what it means to be. What's the word? That you are very good with money. Prudent with money, exactly. So that's what I'm trying to say. So if whatever is given to you is something you can use or you should use for the betterment of yourself. Now, just to mention a bit, one of the problems people have, MSMEs are suffering from is multiple taxation. Now, 2026 is coming. There's a lot of tax policy that's going to be put in place, especially for business owners and all of that. We don't want to get into all of that, but that's also a problem they have. How much of the 250,000 naira will these people get eventually? Are they going to get maybe just some payments? How do they intend to disburse this particular grant? That's another thing we should. No, let's not just say we want to, because sometimes I wonder, and I beg to differ away from what the government would say. A lot of times we see governments, people coming out and say, we've given this, we've sent something, we've sent 270,000 to some people. I don't like that comment.
Do you know that Anoluwapo sometimes is not, the government is not trying to lie about anything. They actually disburse this money.
But then, you see, I'm not trying to disprove that.
No, I get it. I'm just trying to explain better on that. But then, I don't know, when the money comes out, a lot of persons will now start complaining they didn't get it. But then we see people who receive the money and still complain that they did not get the money.
Okay,
this is Nigeria. So, like I just said, okay, if the state government, if the federal government is doing that, can the state government come in through trainings? I mean, for persons who 250,000 cannot do so much for, but then if they can be trained properly, maybe in one particular skill or business, it will help them grow, and then they can begin to live well as a person, and of course, help their family members.
But let's not also forget that these people are already in a business already. They've already, according to what we have, they said it's for outstanding MSMEs. I think the outstanding also brings a clause of question to say, how do you tell? Is it the people that post online?
Do you know that?
Because some of them even have more. The people that really need it are the micro and the small enterprises. No disrespect to medium, but the micro and small enterprises require so much to really continue, to thrive, to sustain. And that's important for them. It's important for every other person, but much more important for those, because those are the fabrics of every business organization. If you don't have those structures, those people that make, for example, clothes, shoes, all of those petty items, they are very important, right? So if they can be empowered to do more, their businesses can grow, and eventually to add to the GDP, of the country.
The reason why I said training can come in, at some point is because some of those people who own the small businesses, a lot of them are really not good with their craft yet. So, and then it's a little bit expensive for them to get training outside, or maybe get someone to train them. Yeah, so that's why I'm saying, okay, trainings can also come in some way.
Very well.
It will help them.
The state government.
Honestly, it will help them.
Let me harp a bit on what you also mentioned about, the federal government. Sometimes, I've been in this country for quite a while, and I'll be very honest with you. What I've seen is that many times governments want to come out to tell that they have done some things, not because of what it will do to people, but because of the administration did this. I wish, well, of course, we were here, okay, October 1st, right, when the president was mentioning some of this. Some people would disagree with a lot of things he said. Why? Because they have the numbers to say, we have given this to less privileged, we are giving this to, and you wonder, where is this? I'm not saying they are not giving.
It's a point of argument.
I'm not saying they're not giving, yeah? What I'm trying to
Yes.
say is this. When they do these things, they do it with the intention that, okay, yes, this is something to announce. We are going to do this because we want to announce it.
No,
It's
no,
forced
no,
from that.
and
If you,
wait.
otherwise, this is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Otherwise, it will be done better.
Okay.
To look out for how best can this affect the lives of people who want to
Okay,
affect.
I don't think it is possible for the government to do something and not announce. We are still the same people that
But
will come. Wait,
let the mindset not
let
be
me
first
land. Let me
announcement.
land.
Let it be
Okay.
to the people. Let it be
Okay.
people-centric. Let it be people-oriented, not announcement-oriented.
Okay,
If you get
I
my point, it's
but
priority
we'll still
now.
be the same person that will come and complain that, okay, we are not informed, we are not carried, we don't know what the government is doing. So I do not dispute the fact that the government should announce whatsoever it is that they do. Leave government alone now. Talk about even other persons. Even in the family, if you do something and you don't communicate, I think communication is very key. So if the government should do this and then announce, I think it's good. So I don't think they should not announce because they don't want people to know they are doing something.
I totally agree with you.
But
that they should announce.
but then, I think there are issues. We know that some persons, just like this, you know, what I spoke about in Calabar, some persons are complaining that they've even closed down the WhatsApp group. They no longer have access, you know, as to how they would receive their 250,000, because a lot of them are in debt now because of this whole exhibition thing, you know. And then this has happened in several parts of the country. Talk about Enugu even recently. So I just think that the government can just do more, but then let's appreciate the government, because if they don't even do this, not like maybe I'm not trying to side with the government, but I'm just saying that beyond looking at the federal government, can we begin to look at people responsible for disbursing this money? I know what I'm saying. Because a lot of times the government even is shocked to say, but we actually, you know, disburse this money. What is going on? Why is it difficult for these people to receive their loans or their grants? So we should begin to look at those areas. See, if you don't tackle those areas, it's going to be difficult for you to see whatsoever it is that the government is doing. The government must do more, yes. But then we need to tackle the aspect, because sometimes some persons are hell-bent on frustrating your effort as a person. Leave federal government, talk about even organizations, you know, in this country. I've seen it happen several times that you see that some persons want it to work and a lot of persons are dragging it down. It's sad. Until we make it, until we come together. We know simple economics, you talk about division of labor, breaking down of production process, where each person or group of persons are willing to take up the job and it will work. See, if it's not about teamwork, I'm sorry, it might not work. So beyond the federal government, the state government should also do something. And when the money is disbursed, let's ensure that the money will get to those that it should get.
I agree. But yes, I'm not trying to. Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Just let me cloud up my thoughts to say I'm not coming against the federal government.
Of course.
What I'm more particular about is how can these reforms, how can this policy, how can these grants help the average Nigerian that needs it most? Because that's very important. Because if we have to really look about this, the people that want to disburse that you're talking about might probably have problems, because where is the data? I think some things are on the line. If we don't have those structures, we will still keep going back again and again. Another disbursement will come and the same story. Another one will come and the same story, because we don't have structures on the line to take hold of this forthcoming or oncoming or ongoing grants and all of this that we have. We need some structures.
Data is very important. We need to begin to work on that as a country.
It's something very important.
Yes. Okay, I think it's a fine place to leave it this morning. Thank you for being a part of this segment. If it's about myself and I know we can extend actually, but then we need to take a short break, and when we come back, we take the weather reports. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Need a professional space to bring your vision to life? Dominion Television Studios offers state-of-the-art facilities perfect for your next broadcast, commercial, corporate video, or live event. With flexible rental options, cutting-edge equipment, and a supportive team, we provide the perfect environment for high-quality productions. Unleash your creativity. For bookings, email us at marketing@dominion.org.ng Call us on 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast and on X at Dominion Cast. Book your space today. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
I welcome you back. Thank you for staying with us. It's time to take the weather report. And this morning, let's start with Ekiti State. Weather this morning feels like 23 degrees Celsius. Later this morning is expected to be around 27 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 2%, and in the afternoon 30 degrees Celsius, scattered thunderstorms around 52%, in the evening 23 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 8%, and overnight 22 degrees Celsius, cloudy around 6%.
From Ekiti to Lagos State, Nigeria now, weather feels like 30 degrees Celsius right there. And there are slight variations from morning to night in Lagos State. 28 degrees Celsius in the morning and later with scattered thunderstorms. And afternoon, 30 degrees Celsius, also partly cloudy. And evening is 28 degrees Celsius, also partly cloudy. And 27 overnight. And partly cloudy as well in Lagos State, Nigeria.
All right, let's cross over to Abeokuta, South Ogun. Weather this morning feels like 25 degrees Celsius. Later this morning is expected to be around 30 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy, around 12%. And in the afternoon, 32 degrees Celsius, scattered thunderstorms around 49%. In the evening, 26 degrees Celsius, mostly clear, around 8%. And overnight, 25 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy, around 9%. That's what we have for Abeokuta South this morning.
The weather is fair in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, this morning. Weather feels like 24 degrees Celsius, quite fair. And of course, variations also from morning to night. Morning 29 degrees Celsius is partly cloudy, and afternoon 31 degrees Celsius, mostly sunny. And of course, evening 25 degrees Celsius, mostly clear, and mostly cloudy also overnight at 23 degrees Celsius in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory.
All right, let's cross over to Ilorin, East Kwara. Weather this morning feels like 24 degrees Celsius. And later this morning is expected to be around 29 degrees Celsius, mostly sunny, around 1%. In the afternoon, 34 degrees Celsius, mostly sunny, around 4%. And in the evening, 27 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy, around 4%. Overnight, 24 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy, around 8%. That's what we have for Ilorin, East Kwara this morning.
And to the largest state in Nigeria, Suleja, Niger State today. Weather is fair at 24 degrees Celsius. Of course, 24 degrees Celsius across. There are slight variations also. 29 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy at 1% humidity this morning. And afternoon, 32 degrees Celsius, sunny. And the weather is clear in the evening at 25 degrees Celsius. And overnight, 23 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy in Suleja, Niger State.
All right, this is how far we can go on the weather report this morning. We need to take a short break, but before we go, do well to follow us across our social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube at Dominion Broadcast and X at Dominion Cast. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live? Like never before. Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
Hello and welcome. This is Daybreak News on Dominion Television. My name is Anuluakpo Ido. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has charged the Nigerian judiciary to remain steadfast, impartial and incorruptible in the discharge of its duties, warning against compromise. This was made known in a post on the official X handle of the Vice President Kashim Shettima following the President's remark at the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, and the National Judicial Institute NJI workshop for justices and judges held in Abuja. Represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, President Tinubu said his administration remains committed to improving the welfare and working conditions of judicial officers, noting that recent remuneration reviews form part of a broader effort to strengthen judicial independence. The Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, has made a move to transform driver's licensing in Nigeria with a new contactless biometric capture system and on-the-spot license printing. FRSC Commissioner Shehu Mohammed announced the launch during the press briefing in Abuja, which claims that the new system will eliminate temporary licenses and reduce delays associated with the current process.
We have activated plans to overcome perennial challenges associated with delays in obtaining the driver's license and number plates. Our printing facility has been upgraded to print an average of 15,000 driver's licenses daily. This production average will be increased.
Even as he acknowledged the federal government's support. The Nigerian Education Loan Fund, NELFund, has announced the official opening of its student loan application portal for the 2025/2026 academic session, providing access to financial support for students across tertiary institutions in the country. According to a statement issued by NELFund's Director of Strategic Communications, Oshayemi Oluwatuyi, the application window will run from Thursday, October 23, 2025 to Saturday, January 31, 2026. NELFund urged fresh students to apply using their admission number or JAMB registration number while appealing to tertiary institutions to show understanding regarding registration and fee payment deadlines for applicants awaiting loan disbursement. And now in Oyo State. Oyo State government has reiterated its commitment to strengthening community surveillance and supporting all security outfits across the state to ensure sustained peace and socio-economic growth. The governor's executive assistant on security, retired CP Sunday Odukoya, gave the assurance while addressing an initiative at the state secretariat in Agodi, Ibadan. He highlighted ongoing investment in security and urged residents to report incidents via the 615 emergency line and other available channels. In his remarks, the national coordinator of the group, Dr. Akimbolade Adeniboye, applauded the government's strides in maintaining peace, but called for increased surveillance and closer collaboration with community members to address emerging threats. The Nigerian Medical Association, Oyo State Branch, has raised concern over the severe shortage of doctors in government-owned hospitals across the state, describing the situation as dangerous for effective healthcare delivery. The chairman of the association, Dr. Happy Adedakbo, while speaking with newsmen, lamented that several general hospitals are currently being run by just 1 or 2 doctors, while some have none at all, citing hospitals in Igbeti, Igboho, Igono, and others to be managed by 1 doctor handling hundreds of patients daily. He, however, appealed to the Oyo State government to urgently address the shortage by improving welfare packages and providing adequate medical equipment to strengthen the state's healthcare system. In business, President Bola Tinubu has approved an unconditional grant of 250,000 naira each for each outstanding micro, small, and medium enterprises (MSME) at the expanded National MSME Clinic in Katsina State. Vice President Kashim Shettima announced the grant, stating that the federal government established the expanded MSME Clinic to bring services closer to entrepreneurs and foster innovation, employment, and access to resources through direct engagement with key institutions. Additionally, Shettima detailed that the 50 billion naira presidential conditional grant scheme will support 1 million nano businesses nationwide with grants of 50,000 naira each, targeting the most vulnerable micro enterprises across all 774 local councils. In sports, Super Falcons have commenced full training in Lome ahead of their 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations final qualifying first leg clash against Benin Republic. Camp update from the team's media officer confirmed that the session was concluded successfully, with defender Tosin Demei being the latest arrival to join the squad. 9 players are now in camp, including 6-time African Footballer of the Year, Asisat Oshoala. Meanwhile, head coach Justin Madugu has expressed satisfaction with the team's early response, confirming that the squad will continue their training sessions throughout the week as they fine-tuning tactics for the crucial fixture. You can visit our website on www.dominion.org.ng to watch us live and interact with us. You can also follow us across our social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn at Dominion Broadcast, and on Next at Dominion Cast. That's Daybreak News. I am Anolu Akbo Ido. Thanks for watching.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live? Like never before. Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
It's ringing convention for the People's Democratic Party across many prints this morning. Of course, the Punch newspaper has the story on convention. PDP forthcoming convention in Ibadan is still a topic of discourse this morning. Thank you for staying tuned. This is the newspaper headlines and analysis segment of this broadcast. And we'll get right into the stories. I'm not doing this alone. I have with me in the studio Ebo Selume Ignatius Ofino. Good morning to you this morning. It's so good to have you in the studio.
I'm delighted to be here this morning.
So let's start with convention now. Convention has been in, it's been on the table for a while. We've had conversations about PDP convention, why some sects want it to happen. A group of people says, this is not what we want. There are some things that should be in place and the convention should not hold. They've taken it to court. Court has dismissed the case. And now another thing. Now, the story on the front page of the Punch newspaper this morning says, Convention, Lamido, Cheraki, McAfee, lead PDP chairman race. That's the big story. Now, who gets to bear the cat for the PDP? That's also a conversation. There's internal crisis that is also sorted. There are many things that we are checking in the PDP. Check. But one of the things we should also probably look for is that they also mentioned that Northwest PDP is set to pick consensus chair as party zoning favors region. Party set for convention. Now, zoning has been on the lips of the Wike sect, saying that we should have zoning instead of just doing some of the things that we are doing. It seems like some are calling for a particular refurbishment of that particular party. Others are saying it's more like some are playing anti-party kind of thing, because we've seen defections in recent times saying that they do not belong to this party anymore. They are going to another party. But what becomes of this convention? One, two. I'm taking two questions for you now. What becomes of this convention? What are we to expect from this convention? Is there going to be a calm after the storm for the PDP?
Thank you very much, Anolu Akpo. I'm not the PDP spokesman. Neither will I act in proxy. But there is one thing I know, that political parties consist of group of men and women who decide to align themselves together for a common goals and objective. So when we are talking about PDP as a political party, PDP once ruled Nigeria for 16 years. But what about the noble goals and ideal of its founding father? Now this party has been beclouded with what? Crisis, internal crisis. Do you know why? The arrogance of power. That has been the problem with them. None of them want to step down for the order, for the good of the party. So for me, I see PDP has lost itself. It has lost its goal and shape as a political party. Now there is one thing. PDP ruled Nigeria for 16 years. They were supposed to be in the front when it comes to the issue of opposition. PDP failed in that area too. Now they want to organize a convention in Ibadan, the first of its kind. I wouldn't know whether the convention will still hold or not, because I'm not their spokesperson. Neither will I act in proxy for them. But there is one thing I will say, that to me, playing the role of the opposition, PDP as a party has disappointed Nigeria.
All right.
Because they have failed in that area of opposition. That was what led to the issue of adopting ADC as the main opposition for now. So PDP has a problem, and one of the internal problems PDP is having is this: there is no more party discipline. Some people in the party feel that they are bigger than the party. Let me give you an instance: Wikeism. It's a new political theory. And what does that mean? It means that you can be in your own political party, work against that party without being sanctioned.
Do you think Wike is working against PDP?
He's working against PDP.
How do you mean?
And he's in PDP, working against PDP, working for APC. You can see. It's a new political theory. How do you explain that?
Wike would disagree to say it was appointed. Should he say no to an appointment of the nation?
Are we having a coalition government at the national level? Are we having a national unity government at the national level? No. It was a betrayal. When they gave Wike appointment as the FCT minister, it was a form of compensation because he betrayed his party. We used to have what called G5 governors. There is no excuse any of these governors can give to me. Then you expect I, Ignatius, Ebo Seluime, Ofino to agree with them. Normally, power was supposed to be zoned to the south. But at the end of the day, because of the back and forth in PDP, it was opened. Atiku Abubakar emerged as the flag bearer. So it was not an excuse. Why will you work against your party? Rather for you to work against your party, it will have been more honorable if they have defected. They will have been more honorable. But yet they did not defect. They worked against their party. They now decided to establish a bad precedence. There must be morality when you are playing politics. Now what they did was this. They adopted the strategy called conspiracy theory. So history have written their names where? Is it in the black book or in gold? I wouldn't know.
Let's take it further now. Now, you've spoken to the issue of something called Wikeism, more like a policy now. Right?
No, a political theory.
A political theory.
Probably those in political science, they should write a thesis on it.
On Wikeism.
Yes, Wikeism.
Let's take it further now to say, now, the issue of genocide, especially as brought up, or should we say, as they raised the dust. I mean, the Senate in the United States raised the dust about this, and it became a national issue in the country. People were having back and forth conversations to say this happened. Others are saying this did not happen in Nigeria. There's no instance of Christian genocide in the country. But now there's a story. Presidency and Khan clash over Christian genocide claim. Now, the Khan president came out to say that what the federal government said by disproving that Christian genocide exists in Nigeria is wrong, and there is Christian genocide. But again, all of this, how do you, let's get your thought on this. Help us round it off on what you think is happening.
There is one thing Karl said. He said when it comes to the issue of religious argument, man tends to be irrational. So when it comes to the issue of religion in this country, it's a sensitive issue. Even if it is true there is Christian genocide, you can't expect Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu to admit to that allegation. He wouldn't do that. He will never do that.
Why should you?
He would not do that.
Why should he not do it?
He wouldn't. He will not admit to that allegation.
But can he tackle
even though he knows that it is real. He wouldn't do that. All eyes are on his government. All eyes are on Nigeria. And there is one thing you must know. United States has that international obligation to always protect the rights of defenseless citizens all around the world. That is why American government is having interest on this issue, and it is a sensitive issue. That is why the government is also very careful about it. Now we have the religious dimension to that allegation now. There is Christian genocide in Nigeria. There is no doubt about it. But you can't expect the president or a ruling government to admit to that allegation. He wouldn't do that. But the only thing I will just say is this. Whether you are a Christian or you are a Muslim, what I know is this. We must learn to live together in unity and love. Every religion in the world preaches about what? Love. Let me give an instance. Islam. Islam means peace. And that shows that if your religion symbolizes peace, you must be what? A peacemaker. The same thing applies to what? Christianity. It promotes what? Peace and love. So Nigerians must learn to understand that our country, called the Federal Republic of Nigeria, binds us together irrespective of your tribe and religion. That is why I believe in what we call secularity. Nigeria is a secular state on paper, but not in reality. That has been the problem. Go to the north. They practice Sharia law in the north. Can you practice Sharia law in the United States? Are we not having American Muslim? We have to be very honest to ourselves in this country. You have to separate religion from state affairs. And I keep saying it today. Science and religion are incompatible. Any country that loves science and technology, that country is going to be great when it comes to the issue of technological inventions. Let me give you an instance again. Any country that is endowed with large iron ore is a potential steel power. Any country that is endowed with large deposit of iron ore is a potential steel power. When you are talking about inventions in the world, automobiles, aeroplane, building of ship, armament, you need what? Iron ore as the raw material. Look at Nigeria today. We are having large deposit of iron ore, but look at what happened to the steel industry in Nigeria. The Ajaokuta steel industry. Sometimes my heart bleed. And any country with large deposit of uranium is a potential nuclear power. So Nigeria is so blessed with a lot of natural resources. But the problem we are having today is this, the issue of religion that has beclouded our sense of value judgment. Nigerians know the government. Do you know why the oppressors? I don't call them government. I call them oppressors. Do you know why? The oppressors are getting away with everything in Nigeria, even including rigging. Do you know why? Including rigging. They know that if they rig the election, Nigerians will not protest. That has been the brain of the problem.
But there's been several protests to elections also in this country.
Let me use the word, Nigerians will not revolt. There is a difference between protest and revolt. That was a revolution in this country. The Igbos revolted against the federal government when they were being killed in the north. Then there was also a revolution that also happened during the June 12 struggle. That is a stolen mandate. That the mandate must be restored back to Chief MKO Abiola. But these days now, Nigerians has been consummated by religion. That's why I keep saying it today, that God is not a politician, but God rules over the affairs of men. But nature has given you and I the willpower to choose between the good and the evil. So God is not involved in politics. So religious leaders must be very careful. Sometimes they have caused a lot of problem to the electorate with fake prophecies. We don't need that in election. Let the people come out en masse. Make their choice. Religion is about your soul. But when you are talking about public governance, he's talking about your human welfare as human being. That was why J.F. Kennedy made an assertion. You know what he said? He said, ask not America what America can do for you. Only ask, what can I do for America? Because America has provided everything you need.
All right.
As an American citizen.
All right. Let's take it a step further now. There's also another story that aligns Nigeria with Kenya and some other countries. Now, the Senate has moved for a particular vote, no mercy for pedophiles. Senate votes life jail for child defilers. They align with Kenya, South Africa on strict child safety laws. And lawmakers vow to end, the vulture of impunity in sexual crimes. This seems like a good move for the country, Nigeria.
Yes, it's a good
Others
move.
would say that is it not too grieving? Is it not too harsh to say you want to kill or you want to jail for life people who commit pedophilia? Where do you stand?
My stand is this: I'm in support of it. Why should we defile a child? A child that is still dependent, an innocent child, an adult for that matter. So the so-called policy of government on this, government stand, I concur with it. It will serve as a deterrent to those who have committed such crime before. and to those who are having that intention, pedophile. Does it speak well? Do you know that the girl child today, the girl child becomes a risk? Let us be frank and sincere to ourselves. You know, we have private lesson teachers today. Most parents does not want a male teacher to come and teach their girls at home anymore because of pedophiles. They don't want. So the girl child becomes an endangered species in Nigeria because of those who indulge in what called pedophilia. It's there. So I concur with that law. I'm in support of it.
But let's do a bit of social reconstruction in now. Now, to talk about the social angle of this story, why do you think this exists in the first place? I know it's a far cry. I know it's a shame. I know it's something that should not even be spoken about. But people still engage in this. Why do you think that is?
It's the mindset and the sexual orientation. It's just that when we are talking about LGBTQ, lesbianism, gay, bisexual, transgender, and Q. Nature has created us into two sexes or gender, male and female. The same thing applies to what? Animals. Why will I say I have a feeling for a fellow man like me? It's so disgusting. But there is one thing you must be very careful when it comes to the issue of fundamental human rights. And I keep saying it over and over again, that I am a Nigerian by birth, but an American by inclination. So when it comes to the issue of LGBTQ, I'm very careful about it because it has been adopted in the United States.
Your country, your second country.
It has been adopted in the United States. But there is one thing I have to be frank and sincere. Nature has never created us in that way. Nature created us into male and female organisms. So the male and female organisms are mutually attracted to each other naturally. But when you are asking that I'm born a gay, I don't understand. Have you heard about it before? People say, I'm born gay, that you are born gay. So when we are talking about pedophilia, we have people like that too. They don't have sexual attraction for fellow adults like them, except for kids. Let me give an example. That there was a shocking issue that the Democrat brought. This man, the Epstein file in the United States. It was an issue against President Donald Trump during the campaign. You know, Epstein happened to be someone that was accused. He's an ally of President Donald Trump. He was being accused of being a pedophile. So at the end of the day, he died in prison custody. So the Democrats was trying to use it against President Donald Trump when he was contesting for second term. You understand that President Donald Trump's name was among the list of those who are being accused of being a pedophile. And we don't know how substantial that claim is. But the issue of pedophilia is a serious crime against humanity. And it should be treated as a serious crime in order to protect the dignity of the younger ones.
Yeah, let's step a step further now. So many stories, right? Court sends Kanu's brother, lawyer, to Kuje prison over Abuja protest. So I'm so sure you're abreast of the whole protest, how it unfolded, how it started with Showore leading the team, and then different sects of all of that. And then at some point they said there were harassment from the Nigerian police force, and Showore went on the television, national television, to say, you know what, if we were bandits, policemen would not come after us. It's because we are innocent citizens. That's why they are coming. And he also mentioned something that is quite important. He said President Tinubu, the incumbent president of the country, Nigeria, is actually a protester too, has been a protester at some point. He mentioned every leader we've had in the country to say they've all protested and we all should protest at some point. He said there's no issue with him protesting. People should not have issues with it because even if you don't protest now, you only see that you only become a fool of the ruling power. So why not just speak truth to power, even through protest? So that's one claim. Now, the story has been that Kanu's brother, Emmanuel Kanu, is also in Kuje prison as we speak. The police spokesperson, that's Sunday, went out also to say that, you know, they apprehended him and some other persons, and they are still going to charge them to court to say what they did and all of that. So the issue of Nnamdi Kanu, you know, others have said it should be a case that should be solved in the court and not on the streets. Showore took it to the streets. So that's why a lot of people are saying that, oh, Showore should not have done that. Others said, you know, just a humorous side, an attempt at humor to say, why was Showore running from tear gas? when they fired tear gas. It was sounding so strong until there was a firing or a tear gas to his face, and then he had to take to his heels and all of that. So I want you to harp on this issue. What do you make of all of this issue? The protests on Showore and then the alleged, cases that were filed against these people that have gone to protest.
There's what we call fundamental human rights, right to freedom of expression. But there's limit to everything. Law regulates our lives and conduct. I'm not happy with Omo Yele Showore.
Why?
I'm not happy with him. I'm saying it live. I'm not happy with him. I see it as a conspiracy to stall the court process. There were 2 serious allegations leveled against Nnamdi Kanu. And what was that allegation? The first one, treasonable felony. The second one, terrorism-related offences. He was the leader of IPOB, Indigenous People of Biafra, which has been proscribed and also been declared as what? A terrorist organization. Because innocent Nigerians were also being killed in the East. Let us be honest to ourselves. When he was arrested and tried under law and granted bail, he jumped bail. When he jumped bail now, we all knew what happened. There was a lot of video clips where he said Lagos should be bombed, that the Nigerian soldiers should be killed. The video clips are there for the world to see. At the end of the day, when he was now found in Kenya, he was now arrested by the Kenyan government in connection with Nigerian government. And at the end of the day, what happened? He was now extradited back to Nigeria. Do you know that Nnamdi Kanu has dual citizenship? He's a Briton and also a Nigerian. Now, when he was now arrested, he was now facing the law. Whether the law is going to, whether the court process is going to last for 100 years, I don't care. But there must be justice. The late sage, Chief Jeremiah Obafemi Awolowo, GCFR, was also being accused of treasonable felony. He was tried in the court, convicted and sentenced till Gowon's government came to grant him state pardon. You cannot stall a court process midway. That is what Showore has done.
But let's take it this way. Why is there a delay in the court process?
I wouldn't know. I'm not a lawyer.
Because if you have to say, because at some point, Kanu came out to say that his health is deteriorating.
It doesn't count.
Are you sure it doesn't count?
It doesn't count.
Human rights, fundamental human rights.
It doesn't count. Let me give you an example. If Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu today has a twin brother, and his twin brother is threatening his government that I'm going to blow up his government, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu must definitely arrest his twin brother and charge him to court for treasonable felony, not minding if both of them came from the same womb. I'm telling you, when we are talking about public governance, so Showore was wrong. It was a conspiracy to stall the court process. The only thing we would have been doing is this: you relate with the NBA so that they can put pressure on the judiciary
to hasten the process.
To hasten, but there are some court cases that will definitely last for years.
Can
he must be sentenced. Let me give you an example. It's 2 things. If he's convicted, he will not. Do you know he was so rude to the presiding judge? Later, the presiding judge now said he's no longer interested in the case. There was a time he was also rude to his lawyer. So Nnamdi Kanu is not even refined in character as a person. I wouldn't know what has affected him psychologically. But like what I'm saying is this: if he's been accused of treasonable felony and with fact and evidences, now he will not be sentenced according to the law. If he now be sentenced according to the probably to life jail or to some prison term, the government now cannot say, this person has been sentenced to 20 years imprisonment. Probably let us allow him to spend 2 days. After Tuesday, we now grant him state pardon. That is the way state pardon is being granted. You must be convicted and sentenced to prison. So Showore, I don't know what has come of Showore. He got it wrong, and I'm saying it on air. Showore can never be a good president. He can never.
Are you sure?
He can never be a good president. I'm telling you, that was what happened in the days of NSAS. Do you know who caused the NSAS protest? It was the Nigerian police force themselves. When they see a young man in his big car, they assume he's a Yahoo boy. While the person is not even Yahoo. Sometimes they interfere into your privacy. When they see you with a big phone, iPhone, the police will want to check. Police, I don't know how to describe the Nigerian police. I see them as a bad element in the nation called Nigeria. They are bad examples.
But let's not cast.
I'm not generalizing.
Yes.
I'm not trying to express my feelings as a Nigerian. The police force, they were the cause of the NSAS protest. I'm telling you today, they know it. If the IG does not know it, he should hear what I'm saying. They were the cause of the protest.
All right. Let's exfoliate another issue. Very importantly, there's been a lot of issues about the protests and all of that, but also presidential pardon has been on the lips of many. And some are saying that the people that were granted presidential pardon should not have been granted.
Yes.
There are still questions about that.
Yes.
So we'll speak to that in a few minutes. What do you make of it?
It's rather unfortunate. Who is to be blamed? The Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi, should be blamed for that. For misleading the president to vet that list. The president is so occupied with a lot of responsibility. 179 names.
But let's be sure. There was a Council of State meeting. Not just Lateef Fagbemi. Yeah.
He is the Attorney General of the Federation.
There were a lot of people.
That office is there. Is the one that will write down the list.
But they will vet it together. The Council of States, the police head, the military head, and every other head came together for that meeting.
Those who were former head of state, do you know some of them have failing health? They won't tell you. That's the truth.
But you think the presidential pardon was wrong in itself?
No, the presidential pardon is the constitutional responsibility of the president. But the names, drug barons, criminals, murderers that were being mentioned, that is where he got it wrong. And it became a backlash. Later, when the government now discovered that it was a backlash, this government, there is one thing with them, diversionary ploy. They now decided to bring out the issue that there was a coup. So that Nigeria's mind will no longer be on the issue of those people that
But what you just said now is what Showore is also clamoring against. They say, if you can grant pardon to some people, why not Kanu?
But for now, that list is being reviewed. None of them has been released.
As we speak.
Yes, as we speak.
Thank you very much, Ofino, Ignatius,
for having me.
Thank you for your thoughts this morning. Yeah, stay tuned. We still have so many to go down today. Of course, the big story comes up next with Yemi. Stay tuned and don't go nowhere after this break.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live like never before? Book the OB event today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
A nation that cannot plan for its people is already planning for its failure. Welcome to Big Story. Today we are looking at the future at risk, poverty, population, and the path to national collapse or renewal. Nigeria is growing, but not in wealth, but in numbers. Our population is estimated at over 220 million today and could surpass 320 million by 2020, according to experts. Yet, we are still relying on outdated data. The last comprehensive national census was conducted in 2006, almost 2 decades ago. Since then, every population figure we quote is at best an educated guess. Why does this matter? Because without accurate population data, budgets are miscalculated. Schools, hospitals, and roads are built blindly. Resource allocation becomes political, not practical, and development becomes a shot in the dark. This takes us back to the Malthusian theory, which warns that when population grows faster than food, jobs, and resources, a nation edges towards scarcity, conflict, and collapse. But modern economists argue that population can also be a powerful resource if it is productive, educated, and properly managed. So the big question is, will Nigeria's population be our greatest asset or our quickest path to crisis? To help us unpack these, we have with us a seasoned voice of the nation, Dr. Kunle Okola, public affairs analyst and respected commentator on national issues. Good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Nigerians.
It's good to have you again. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's start from this Malthusian theory. It interests me a lot. In 1798, it propounded the theory to say that population increased geometrically, while food resources and all other things increase asymmetrically. Looking at the population of Nigeria at this point, some will say 210, 220, above 220. Do you think our population is a blessing to us?
Thank you very much. Increase in population is not a cost, on itself. In fact, if annexed rightly, it can be translated to strength. But the problem with Nigeria is population is increasing at the expense, of infrastructural development. The population of Nigeria is growing at 3.5 million people annually. And that's massive, 3.5 million people annually with no equivalent rise in provision of infrastructures like electricity and transportation and logistics. And when you have that, then you are going to have problem. People are going to live below poverty line, like the Federal Bureau of Statistics is saying. 133 million Nigerians are multidimensionally poor, and that is 63% of the overall population. Multidimensionally poor in the sense that they experience poverty in multiple ways. They lack access to things like energy, sanitation, education, health care, and other basic social amenities. And 62% of Nigerian population are below the poverty line. That is per day. That's 62% of Nigeria. And the poverty is higher in rural areas and in the northern Nigeria. 65% of poor people live in the north compared to the south. 35% of poor people live in the south. Now, the point I'm trying to make is that the rise in population itself is not a cause. In fact, it's a blessing if we harness it very well. But if we don't merge it with infrastructural development, then it becomes a cause. Let me give an example, because this is not a rocket science things. In the past, most of our forefathers, they are polygamists. Many wives, my grandfather had, I think, about 6 or 7, many wives, so many children. And once they begin to have more wives and more children, they see it as more workforce in cultivation, because majorly they were farmers. And so you have more workforce, doing cultivation in the farm. And that means that their farm is increased, and overall the produce, is harvested, is also increased. They do this because they know that they have more mouth to feed and more people to cater for, and that is exactly what China is doing. China translate the population increase into industrialization. When you match increase in population with industrialization, then it's going to be a blessing to us, and that is what we are not doing in Nigeria.
Okay, thank you for that. Let's talk about, because you said when we can manage the population well, it should be a blessing.
Yeah.
But that is not obtainable in Nigeria.
No.
In 2023, a lot of persons called for national census.
Yeah.
The last time we had it was in 2006.
Yeah.
So it becomes difficult for the government to plan adequately for the people when they lack the data that they need.
Yeah.
In 2023, I recall that we were this close to having a national census, but some persons kicked against this because they said, okay, we have election coming up in 2023. Billions of, close to 1 trillion naira was calculated as budget for the census. So because of that, it was scrapped. And ever since then, we've not heard anything about this national census again. Do you think at this point in time, a national census will get us out of this situation?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We need a national census to be conducted in Nigeria ASAP, because all we've been doing since 2006 is guesswork, and when you don't have accurate number of people living in particular area, how do you account for the amenities that are going to that area? How do you distribute national resources? How do you manage the people? How do you know your strengths and your weaknesses? The youth in an area, the women, the children, the men. How do you do that? It's just like fighting your life battle in the dark. We need a national census. The one that we had 2006 is still, like I just said, Nigeria population is growing at 3.5 million people per year. And the last one we had was 2006, and then we were quoting about 200 million or 210 million people. Basically, we should be far, far more than what we are guessing that we are presently. So I think, we're due, Nigeria is due for a fresh national census to be conducted.
Doctor, thank you. We are in a fix now. The economy is dangling. As of 2023, the budget was 869 billion.
Yeah.
Now in 2025, I'm very sure that we should be close to 1 trillion naira, if not more.
Yeah.
Do you think we can afford it? Because a lot of Nigerians are scared. We might need to print money to sponsor that, and that might affect inflation again.
The situation in Nigeria is just like an irony, because annually, budgets are increasing in Nigeria. Annually, budgets are increasing. We move from millions to billions, then from billions to trillions. And next budget, I tell you, we far more than what we had presently. And budgets are increasing, but poverty is also increasing. Sincerely, most of these policies are not people friendly. They are not benefiting the people. And so when you are operating a policy that is not people friendly, they are not benefiting the people. Common sense says that you have to reverse those policies. There are so many policies that and ideas that were flowing, that the government of Nigeria is flowing, that are not beneficial to the people, and we continue doing this. You can't arrive at the right destination if you take the wrong route. All right, you take the wrong route and you expect to arrive at the right destination. It's never done. What you do is that the moment you discover that, oh, I missed my way, you turn back and face where you are going. That's where that's when we can arrive at the right destination. Doing the wrong thing will never give you a right answer. So budgets are increasing, poverty is increased. People are being impoverished almost on a daily basis. All right, we used to talk about amenities. People cannot afford amenities in infrastructures, but now we're talking about food. People cannot afford food, and Nigerian government are talking about Nigeria being the greatest
giant of Africa.
Giant. That was then.
Really?
No, that was then.
But we still have good people.
You need to see. You need to hear some other nationalities make jest of Nigeria being in a football match, and South Africans that were was on a program.
Okay.
And look at the way they were talking about Nigerian. They refer to us in the past. It used to be giant. It used to be giant. And that's because we are failing ourselves. A man who cannot help himself cannot go and help another person. What you don't have, you cannot give. This is the same Nigeria that anytime that there was any unrest in West African nation, United Nations beckoned onto Nigerian police, Nigerian army for peacekeeping. Now we cannot keep peace even in our own nation. So don't say giants of Africa. Say we used to be giants of Africa, and we have every resource and human, both natural and human resource to make us giants.
Okay.
And what we are talking about presently, population, is one of our strengths.
Doctor,
there is not that nation in the world. We have about 250 ethnic groups in Nigeria, and most of these ethnic groups have one or two different languages that are specific to them. There is no nation like that. Something happened to a friend in the UK and was narrating it to me, and she has a 7 or 8 year old girl, a child, and in England you cannot leave that toddler alone in the house.
Okay.
But she had to walk. So she locked the door, locked the girl inside, and she went to walk. And a concerned neighbor, a white lady, called the police and immigration. And so they came, they opened the door, and they met the young girl. And they said, where is your mom? And she was like, my mom just went out now, that she will soon be back. And they put a call across to the mom that we're picking the child because we are not fit to be a mother. I'm talking about importance, the privilege, the advantage of language. She's an Igbo, and she said, give the phone to my daughter, and she switched the language to Igbo. Started speaking Igbo. They didn't understand, and the girl was responding. What she was saying is that don't let them take you. Tell them that I went to the clinic, because if they take you, I will not see you for the next 21 years. Do you want to go with them? All right. And when they say, okay, after the communication, let's go. He said, no, I'm not going. My mother just went to the clinic. My mother is coming. But they said, but you were cooperating. Said, no, you can't take me. My mother is a good mother. And the mother left work and came and met them there. And they asked the mom, where did you go? And he said, I went to the clinic. She had branched in one clinic, get a card. And, because the words of the mom and the daughter tally, all right, they let her go. That's the importance of language. And it's only in Nigeria that we have that. They don't have that in Britain. They don't have that in the UK. So population, increase in population could be harnessed to be an advantage. But we are not making use of human strength that we have in Nigeria. We are allowing other nations to make use of it. Go to any nation in the world. Okay? You see Nigerians doing exploit. Nigerians doing exploit in medicine, in sciences, in arts, anywhere in the world, But our own government do not appreciate our people. Ordinary census we have not conducted for how many years? Where is that done? You don't even know how many people you are. It's like a man that is the head of the family, and you don't know the number of people that you have in your family. How do you provide for the family when you don't know the number of people that you have to cater for?
You are very spot on. Let's talk about data now.
Yeah.
You mentioned something around it.
Yeah.
Some persons, were angry about the last election. Some regions in Nigeria,
Yeah.
they said, some individuals deliberately inflated some of the numbers,
Yeah.
because they want to collect more resources from the
Yeah.
government. And
Yeah.
that's the fear of so many today, to say that if we conduct another census, some persons will deliberately inflate the numbers to their own advantage.
Yeah.
How can we tackle that? Because data is very important.
It's the government, like I was saying, political will. It is the government, especially the federal government, that will have to wield that power. The 2005 census or 2006, that ones that we had, we had information that in some parts of Nigeria, even cows were counted.
As humans.
As humans, even cows were counted, because they know that the higher the number of people in that region, the higher the infrastructures and amenities and resources from the federal government to that place. So it's the federal government that will not allow that if we are going to have a true and a picture of what Nigeria looks like. We have to fight corruption in this nation. We have to, and it has to start from the federal government. Recently, the federal government procured about 2,000 tractors to give to farmers. All right, and now we have ministers got their own slots. House of Representative members got their own slots. The senators got their own slot for onward delivery to the farmers in their individual constituencies. But you know what we heard? We heard that some individuals were selling this, fertilizers, to farmers. So, if we are going to have anything credible, not just a census, election is coming. If we are going to have anything credible in this nation, the federal government must be willing to fight corruption. Let's have a free and a fair, census in this nation, and it begins with the federal government. Because if the numbers are influenced, then we have failed, because some people will have advantage over some other people. And that is the way things has been in this nation, and it has got to stop.
It's so sad, because I believe if you enter the United States today, they will have all your records. So
yes.
That's why it's easy for them to trace criminals.
Yes.
I believe if you can get census right, then we can actually tackle insecurity as well.
Absolutely.
Can we begin to learn from this, developed nations? Because I believe as a country that is categorized as a third world country, we take a lot of risk that even developed countries don't take, rather than learn from them.
It's because we don't really care. We don't place the right value on human lives. That's why we do what we do in this nation. We major on the minors and we minor on the majors. As long as some individuals, very few individuals, the people that are in charge of the economy of this nation, they are very few. Like about 2.4% Nigerians get from statistics, about 2.4 Nigerians get 200,000 naira, monthly, and about 5% got 500,000 naira monthly as salaries, and you have about 1.2% that are enormously and stupendously rich. That when you are talking about the richest in Africa, richer both men and women, you are mentioning Nigeria, yet the whole nation is impoverished, and it's high time the government of Nigeria did something about that, because population has to be harnessed properly. We have to learn, like you rightly said, from another nation. Look at what is happening in China. Our population is not up to half of that of China. But go to China today, right from primary school, I saw a post on the Facebook, comparing our own primary activities with China primary activities. You know, during the end of the year party that we normally do, you know, our children will be dancing, cultural dance, blah blah. During their own, you know, they're going to the farm, they're going to teaching them electronics, they're teaching them, you know, how to industrialize, you know, their area, having that mentality right from primary school. A friend of mine went to China and went to use the loo at the airport. As you're, you know, peeing like this, once you finish, a script will come out from the board analyzing your health status. Analyzing your health status free of charge. So I collected and saw the lipid, everything. I said, this is massive. You know how much you spend in Nigeria to do a checkup? Or every time you go to the toilet, you know, and after peeing, it comes out to you. That's development. That's industrialization. We must bring industrialization back to Nigeria, and we can do it. Go to Beijing.
Is the environment conducive for it?
The environment can be conducive. You know, I know we're talking about banditry and kidnapping and you know, terrorism. This morning I was hearing that, you know, ISWAP, you know, are saying that they're going to launch an attack on, you know, Ondo State and Kwara State. What an effrontery! What an effrontery! I saw a video yesterday. I almost was weeping for Nigeria. There was a wedding in Katsina, and bandits came from the bush to attend the about 400 of them, carrying sophisticated weapons on their bicycle, 2 on a bicycle, and they attended the wedding freely. There are police, there were police, there were military men, and these guys dominated the environment. And after the wedding, they left back, and nothing was happening. And I was saying that, are we really fighting insecurity in this nation? No, we can't be fighting insecurity in this nation. And these people, we have that boldness, that effrontery to come out en masse with their weapons, attended the wedding, danced, they were dancing with their guns on their shoulder,
left peacefully.
And left peacefully. You know, Nigeria is becoming a joke. You know, it's as much as a terrorist is always a terrorist. They have that mentality. And the mentality is to kill, to disrupt the government activities. And you are having meetings with them. You know, you are sending bandits because they tell you that they are repentant, sending them abroad.
Even into the army.
Into the army. I mean, can you imagine that? Are we serious? Do we actually know what we are doing? And that's why we are becoming laughing stocks to some other nations of the world. They look at us and they say, are we really serious? With the enormous natural resources that we have. I lived in the UK. There was a time that I moved around from north, you know, I left London, went to Liverpool, went to Newcastle. I was going everywhere. I want to see the natural resources that these people had. They've got none. They've got none.
And they are doing so well.
And they are doing so well. You know, UK has a reserve, in their reserve, you know, the oil that they will use 20 years if all the nations supplying them oil stop. Pengasen alone just planning to, they've not really went on strike, planning to strike. You know, there's inflation on the price of petrol in Nigeria. And we're the number 4, number 5 when it comes to production of oil in the world. Do we know what we are doing? You are driving in the streets of Kuwait, in the streets of Saudi Arabia, on the street, your petrol, you know, is finishing. You can park on the highway. There are tunnels with nozzles that you can take and fill your car and leave, as long as you're a citizen. That criminals be given presidential pardons. I'm talking of real criminals. How would judiciary, you know, recommend that to the government? So law is for the feebles and the weaklings in Nigeria. Like somebody said, it's not for the strong. If you are strong, if you are wealthy, if you are influential, you are above the law in Nigeria. You can do anything and go scot-free with it. There are people that have made a flamboyant statements, you know, in Nigeria, and nothing happens. Somebody was on the social media and was saying, "I give command to all Igbos in Lagos, destroy them, kill the Yorubas, kill them." And you think that the next day this person should be apprehended, but nothing will happen. There are former convicted criminals in these nations that are living large in some other nation of, and we feel that they're in prisons, and they're somewhere there. Where is the killer of Delegua? Where is the killer? And things like that. So law is for the feebles and the weaklings in Nigeria. If you are not strong, please keep the law. But if you are very strong and influential, you can do anything and go scot-free with Nigeria. To that. Because Nigeria is not a nation until the son of nobody can rise to become somebody without the influence of anybody. If we can't get there, then we are not a nation.
It's a sad situation. You spoke about China, and China interests me a lot. Yeah. There was a time China had it more serious than what Nigeria is going through at the time. Yeah. And so they adopted population control to say, as a family, you are allowed to give birth to this number of children. Yeah. There are even complaints about the government at the time that some persons will give birth to 10, 20 children that they cannot cater for. Yeah. Do you think population control is a way out in Nigeria? If yes, how can we achieve that?
The government of Nigeria, should pursue both population control and productivity growth. It's not just population control, but with productivity growth. If you embark on population control alone, without productivity growth, we're still going to be where we are. And that's what we want to learn from China, is population control with industrialization. That is what will make us, to be a blessed nation. All right. There are people making policies for the federal government. They know how they can go about curbing the population of Nigeria. The truth is that Nigeria is it's highly recommendable that we embark on population control. Okay. There are people that are giving birth to children that they cannot cater for. And if you give birth to children you cannot cater for, they're going to be a burden to people who give birth to children that they can cater for. Because no way, man must live. All right? And so if the children of the poor cannot sleep, then the children of the rich also will not be able to sleep, because the children of the poor will be troubling the children of the rich. So the government must do something about that. And that is what most of our leaders are forgetting. They think that as long as I'm in power, I'm secured, my family is secured, to hell with the poor. No, you are creating problem for your own children. You are creating an enormous problem for your own children. If you don't cater for them one way or the other, they are going to be a burden to your own children. And that's why most of them, I'm talking of the elites in Nigeria, cannot have their children come back home. They can't survive here because they are not used to this place. And somebody asked me, is Nigeria a good place? The other stop, some group of whites, about 4 or 5 of them, 2 women and 3 men, elderly, came in and we moved for them. They refused to sit down with us. They stood and hung. I felt so bad. I felt so bad. And the other person was like, I'm used to it. That's what
it started way long, like hundreds of years ago.
What you can't have that here. Nobody will look at you and say you are black, you are skin. And it's all in the mentality.
But then some don't do it. I think it's necessary that we clarify that. Some don't do that.
It's dying. Some are wise. It's just skin deep.
Yeah, there are some universities in the UK.
The lung, the heart of a black man, will help a dying white man. Our internal organs does not recognize skin coloration. So those that are wise and educated, because most of them are not educated as well, they understand. What I'm trying to say is that here in this place, nobody can do that to you. All right, we are people oriented. I lived in a house in the UK. That we were 4 in the house. That in a month, I might not see my neighbor once, because when I'm going to work, It's the time they're coming back from work. We just speak on the phone, and you begin to wonder what kind of a life is. The many people have died in the house for months, and nobody will know. No, it's not happening here. People will beg and Leo, shall I fear you, and that's what we enjoy. Then we have natural resources. Look at our foods. Look at our food. There was a time I tried to plant ordinary flower. I had to travel to go and buy soil. They gave me a brochure, they gave me fertilizer, in the morning 2 cups of water, pour it on, prepare the ground, and after a week put the seed. I tried that. The thing rose up like this, and the following day it went down. All right. I'm eating banana in my house now. You know what happened? Okay. Somebody just gave me a banana, I cut it, and I just put it on the soil, and it's growing. That's how blessed we are. That was okra in my background. I cut okra, I just throw it down, and before you know it, okra is growing, tomato is growing. That's how blessed we are. So Nigeria is a wonderful place. All we need is good leadership. Singapore was worse than us. Yeah. Look at Singapore.
Even Japan, 70% rock area.
Look at what they have today. So that's why I'm saying that it's hanging on the shoulder of a responsible leader.
Okay, so Doctor, will you agree with me to say that once a giant, always a giant? Okay.
I wouldn't agree with that, because if you're a giant, you need more strength and wisdom, to keep your status as a giant. Okay. It's easier to rise, but it's more difficult to keep yourself at that stage, even in every aspect of life. And I tell youth, it's easier to rise. Charisma will lift you. The gift of a man will make room for him. But what will keep you up is your character. Okay. So if you have charisma without character, you rise, you will fall. So once a giant is not always a giant. You need extra efforts to remain a giant. And that's what we are not doing in Nigeria.
Okay, thank you so much for being a part of this show. You've been able to profile a lot of solutions that can help us increase our productivity and nurse our population. But what's your advice to the youth and maybe the citizens in general? How can we help the government? In few words before we go. We
can help the government, especially the youth. White collar jobs are fewer. Okay. They're not there. But harness your talent. Every man is gifted. There are 2 facts in life. I tell people, there is no one that does not have anything, and there is no one has nothing. All right, and everyone has something. What I have, you don't have. Discover yourself, discover what you have, appreciate it, and try and see how it can work for you. If white collar job comes, fine. Thank God the government is restructuring the curriculum of schools now. Yeah. It has to stop from being theories alone. Okay, we have to do more of practical. Let us discover the gift of these young ones and harness it in the proper way. So because the youths are the future of this nation.
Thank you so much.
If we are depending on white collar job, then we will remain where we are. Agriculture is still one of the best exploits, that can help us. We depended on it in this nation, and it worked for us, before the oil boom. So you can still do that. I have a little garden in my compound that I get 1 or 2 things. Everybody should do that. Operation Feed the Nation.
I think that's very profound. OFN, thank you for being a part of this program. Honestly, population is not our problem. Mismanaged population is. Today's discussion has made one thing clear. Nigeria is at a defining moment in its history. We are growing in numbers, but the real question is whether we are growing in value, productivity, and purpose. A nation with over 200 million people should be a powerhouse of ideas, labor, innovation, and economic strength. But without proper data, clear planning, and deliberate investment in people, that strength becomes a strain. To move forward, we need accurate census data. We cannot plan for people we do not know. We must turn our population into a productive force, not a statistic of poverty, and see every Nigerian not as a burden, but as the builder of the nation's future. A special thank you to our guest, Dr. Kunle Okola, for his insight and perspective. And on his note, he mentioned that once a giant might not always be a giant. The future is not something we enter, it's something we build. Amoluwayemi Adelakon saying thank you for being a part of this story. We take a short break, and when we come back, we take Trend Watch. Please stay with us.
Need a professional space to bring your vision to life? Dominion Television Studios offers state-of-the-art facilities perfect for your next broadcast, commercial, corporate video, or live event. With flexible rental options, cutting-edge equipment, and a supportive team, we provide the perfect environment for high-quality productions. Unleash your creativity. For bookings, email us at marketing@dominion.org.ng. Call us on 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast, and on X at Dominion Cast. Book your space today. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
I welcome you back. Thank you for staying with us. It's time to take the Trend Watch, but then I'm not alone in the studio. Anoluwapo is here with me. Welcome back.
And I've brought you Anambra elections. That's what I've brought to the table for you. So it happens that gunmen abduct 3 INEC officials, others on their way to Anambra ahead of governorship election that's come November as we speak now. So there's been the conversation of, okay, a new Amungwitan, or should we say, a new chairman of the INEC has come to be Amungwitan. So his first approach to the election is kidnap. So they are using that one to say, oh, welcome.
Welcome.
So your members, some of your members are with us, so we can start conversations from there. And a lot of comments have also gone on social media. People are saying different things. But you know, this is what we say. We keep saying if security is not tackled properly, it affects every facet. Whatever you think you want to do, you want to achieve in a country, put security also at the heart of it, because it is just as important. It's expedient for you to ensure that lives, properties, election materials, everything is secure. If it's not secure, then there's a problem. Now, this is the problem we are seeing. 3 of them, INEC officials, that are just going for their daily duty, maybe for the Anambra election. Everything is gagging up. This is October, we're almost, in November, and then everybody's trying to put up things together. PVC was just, they said they can come for their PVCs in some places as well. There's so many stories coming from the INEC. Now, another one that is shocking for them is that some of their members were kidnapped. And this is not a good time for that kind of thing to happen. It's never even a thing that should happen in the first place. Not even now that election is coming and it's fast approaching. And I think this is not a very good one. If we should tackle this, we really need to go to the heart of this matter and solve security. If we don't solve security, we'll still keep saying these things again and again.
It's a sad situation. Just this morning, my guest on the show was saying that, in Katsina, a wedding happened, and then about 400 bandits walked in, sat comfortably.
Were they guests?
They were guests. When they were done, they left, and nothing happened. It's a sad situation. And looking at the fact that this new INEC chairman is now on board, and then this is happening to him. So insecurity is a problem. If at all the INEC chairman and all other persons directs, they want to make sure that this election is free and fair. With these so-called bandits and terrorists, unknown gunmen, will they allow it? It's a problem. So I think that, you know, besides throwing money into insecurity, sometimes we know what to do. Is it that these people have grown so bold, you know, they've been able to consolidate their power in the country to the extent that it becomes, you know, difficult, or maybe even the security operatives will think twice before saying we want to attack these people? It's a sad situation.
It's also the body language of the government in power. If the government says, okay, if there's a kidnap, and the government says, it's okay, and they say, okay, we'll just deploy soldiers, and if something happens and they say, okay, we are striking into action, every security outfit, security apparatus in the state must be used for this, let's get to the root of this and let's get it solved. If that happens, that would stall many of these things, right? They would be scared that, oh, the government is really serious about this. And again, some would have alleged that, you know, some of these groups, these terrorists, banditry, and all of these things are sponsored by some politicians. Okay,
that's the point. But then I think we also need to work on our intelligence team. These people were kidnapped because they got an intel. That was why they were kidnapped.
Someone asked me that, how did they know they were INEC officials?
How did they know they were INEC officials? How did they know they were traveling for the Anambra election? It's a sad situation. I think it's something we need to look at. Maybe we'll take a few comments before we end the show this morning.
Definitely, we'll take some comments now. This is coming from Lima Lopez. It says, Anambra is not an APC state, so they want to intimidate those officials to do according to their agenda, since Soludo isn't one of them too.
That's a sad situation. Let's take another comment this morning before we go. Christian is saying the people they rigged have unleashed insecurity on them. What an irony. It is a sad situation.
Very
and I think
sad.
At this point, let's take the Van Elekwa. What if they were kidnapped to be threatened on how to rig the election and then released? Just thinking though. Actually, my thought on this is, if I thought these people are released, I don't think they should be part of the election any longer. I mean, to be on the safe side. And there must be like a thorough investigation. I just pray that they release them at the end of the day. But then they shouldn't be part of the election. Maybe they should be allowed to rest for a while now, so that they can ensure that, okay, they are still with the federal government, or they are still with the nation.
Because they might have been threatened or promised.
We don't know. Anything could have happened. I think it's a fine place to live.